everybody, it's Gail from Gail's Bookish Things, and the last part of my little catch-up series here is to do a currently inked video with you. Typically I have my currently inked pens in one of these. This is a Galen Leather 10 pen case. The big joke is when I first started out on the fountain pen journey, I thought having 10 pens is really all I would need. Surprise, it has expanded to a few more than one of these cases. I like to switch them out though and mix them up. I have a green one, a brown one, and this blue. And these are the 10 plus 2 extra, which don't fit in here. I will show you. But I'd like to just give a brief summary on these pens and what I have enjoyed about them, or my response, I guess, reaction to the combination of the pen and ink with the nib. So first of all, the TWSBI Eco Cement Gray broad nib. I love this pen. It's so basic, but I've just had very consistent success with this, with what I put in there. I like to keep generally J. Herbin's Stormy Gray in here, Gris Orage, but now I have a similar type ink, and this is Van Diemen's Route 66, which is a black ink with a rose gold or pink shimmer. It is equally as delightful as the J. Herbin, which I prefer slightly more because I like the gold shimmer a little bit better than the pink. But as I mentioned in the previous video, this is so nice to write with. It's very thick, flowy. It's just a solid writing experience, and that's really what I enjoy when I'm writing. The ink goes down on the paper, there's no dryness, it flows well, it's pretty to look at. And it has just been a really great shimmer ink, which I particularly enjoyed over the Christmas holiday. Next is Diamine Golden Sands. This ink, just to look at it in a pen, is absolutely gorgeous. I chose this pen because I thought it would flow well, and I really wanted to see that lovely golden shimmer. It is a bit light to write with for my preference. However, I do like to highlight my pages with it. I like to fill in my date stamp or date stencils with it, and it just, I don't know if it's showing up very well through the phone here, but it is a very nice shimmer ink, and it gets some shading too. And then in my Opus 88 1.5 nib Picnic, this is purple color, but the name of the pen style is Picnic. It is a eyedropper filler, so when you write, it's nice to open this up and let the ink flow to the nib more readily. And it just makes a wonderful broad line, and it's super good for showing off the shimmer. So these first few are the ones I have with a shimmer ink in them. This is a lighter pinkish gold shimmer. And again, I love it for the highlights and for filling in the stenciled dates. It's a little bit on slightly dry for my writing preference, but I do want to play around with it in a few other pens. It's a pretty bluish gray, very calm, lovely, what I would call like a peaceful color. And in my Esterbrook SD in Botanical Garden with a broad nib, I have Oz Story. I thought that color would go nicely with some of the greenish shades on here, which you can find just about any color you want if you look closely at this pen. I really like writing with this pen a lot, and that's a fun match. It has good shading. It's a little bit lighter, a little bit more dry, but it's something different, and so I'm liking that. So trying out something that I probably wouldn't think of on my own, and experimenting with some new kinds of colors. In my Franklin Christoph 03 in a broad nib, isn't this a neat pen? It looks like glass, it's plastic, but I just loved this, and a friend offered to sell it to me when she was tired of it, so I bought that. I have the Colorverse Show Me. These 3 inks were a gift at one point or another from my son Sam, and I like this gray ink. This is like, makes me think of a sort of a cloudy day. It's after the St. Louis Arch, which is good. It's like a steel blue, steel gray color. I don't know the best way to describe it, but it's very aptly named, and it's kind of a fun match in that green, I think. This is a continual writing delight, my Pilot Custom 823. It's a vacuum filler, and you loosen that to write to get the flow steadily coming out. Probably can't see, I have about 1/4 of an inch left in there, and it's just so nice, such a nice nib. This was like this was a surprise to me to try this at the St. Louis Pen Show and find that I preferred the medium over the broad nib in this model, and I am loving it. Everything I put in it has been nice. This Brown Sugar by Monteverde in here is delightful, wonderful writing. It matches the pen nicely too, and when the ink goes down, it's a really rich, beautiful brown. It dries a little less spectacularly, in my opinion. I love how it feels to write with it. It's perfect, but it does tend to dry just a little more matte looking. So that would be one thing I'm maybe not super keen on, but the writing experience in and of itself, top notch. Okay, this one I've recently talked about, my new Pilot E95 medium, slim, I guess, E95S. Talked about this in my previous video. This has Jade Noir by Monteverde in it. Loving that. I pick it up and I could just write with it all day, and holding it, it's much smaller than a lot of my pen selections, but you do post it, or you can. And it is just really, really nice. I'm so happy with that. I'm loving it. That was a gift this Christmas. The Pilots really have these wonderful nibs on them. I like them a lot. Colorverse Tex-Mex I am using in my Opus 88 Colero. This is also a medium nib, but it's super gushy. Feels like a broad nib to me. This is a eyedropper filler. This is Ebonite, and this is the color red. It's a nice, rich, deep red. It's looking a little darker through my phone than it is in person, but it's definitely a warm toned red, I would say. Maybe I have that wrong, but just your basic smaller nib. It writes so nice. It has just this every so often, like it takes a second. I don't know if you saw that, but then it just pours out the ink. If I don't have the nib just right, if I'm pointing it down, it writes right away. Sometimes it takes a second if there's an angle to it, but once it goes, which isn't a big deal to get it going, it's just a little bit of a hiccup to start sometimes, but it's so nice. I have filled this, maybe it might be on the 3rd fill. Got it for Christmas journaling. I just felt like having a red pen for the season, and also this works for numerous seasons, but sometimes it's kind of fun to have a special pen for an event or time of year. Have not been disappointed in this, and even with that little bit of skipping or hard starting every so often, I love this. I love the combination so much. It just feels so nice to write with it. Then I have in my TWSBI Eco, a broad nib, translucent purple, one of my earlier pens when I was just only going to collect the clear color TWSBIs. Big joke, that's funny now. I have in here the Birmingham Pen Company Gooseberry, a sample from Elise Morgan. You can check out her channel for lots of good inky videos. This is a broad nib. I think it writes more dryly. I think it writes more like a medium, whereas other of my TWSBI nibs that are broad gush more, like this one. It seems like a little bit of an inconsistent experience, but still very nice. This ink is a tad bit dry. I do like it quite a bit color-wise because it reminds me of Caran d'Ache's Storm, which is discontinued. That was a sample I got from my friend Kim at the Seed Chronicles a while back, and really liked that tone, that shade of purple. This is very similar, and it looks like grape juice in here. It's really pretty. So this is quite nice. I'm glad that I could sample it. I'm moving my mug here, it's getting in the way. But probably I would not buy a bottle of that, only because I have similar purples already, and I feel like I'm doing well with a stash of purple inks. Another super consistent, wonderful writing experience with these currently inked is my Tailored Pen Company, the Churchill model. This particular model colorway is called Havasupai Falls, or Pie, I mean, Havasupai. I think I'm saying that close to right. It looks like waterfall area in Arizona. I chose this pen because of the colors, and it is a really nice writer. Nice big size 6 nib, which I definitely prefer if I have the option. I have in here the Lamy Turquoise or Lamy Tourmaline. I have looked it up. I do not know if turquoise or tourmaline is the right name for it, but I think they're both a turquoise, or they both mean the same thing. This has a little bit of pink shading, or not shading, sheen. There we go. I don't like an overpowering sheen. I think it's a really neat effect, but it kind of bothers me when you have a base color and then the sheen makes it look like something totally different. This is a nice little hint, and it's kind of fun because, like on this tea, it looks turquoise, and then it's looking like a metallic red. So that's kind of an interesting effect that I enjoy. But the way this ink feels in this pen, oh my goodness, it is so nice to write with. It's a wonderful smooth nib. This is a Jowo nib. I have been told by the Tailored Pen Company owner, Cicely, that Kirk Spear does the nibs for him, like tunes them, makes sure they're all good to go before they put it on a pen. I did request this custom, because it is a custom pen company, to have this copper clip, and it came quite shiny, like new copper, and I love that it's developing a patina and looking more warm toned. Very nice writing, and I gotta say, this is so smooth. You can barely tell where the cap and the body of the pen come together. It's barely detectable. It's so nice. It's so pretty, isn't it? You can get this in a matte finish too, which I almost did because it looks kind of to me like rock, where this looks like polished rock, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm glad I got this, but I was very tempted by the more matte finish. And then the other two that I don't have in my case because they're over by my planner in the kitchen is the Pilot Vanishing Point. This is a broad nib. This style or color is called Blue Carbonesque. It's a really nice writer as well. This broad is definitely more broad feeling than the two medium ones I have. I like this pen a lot, and it is a really good to-go pen if you're going to be somewhere writing and you don't want to mess with a cap, screwing it on and off, clicking. It's just like a regular pen, but it's a fountain pen. So anyway, I keep this over by my planner where I'm always jotting things down, scratching things out, making lists, and trying to incorporate the use of fountain pens in my everyday life. I have a good collection of inks, nothing like crazy, but more than I could probably, like if I live 20 more years, I think the inks I have would definitely last that. So that's a weird thing to say. That's kind of how I view my life. Like, how many more decades do I have left? I have enough inks to last me the rest of my life, I'm pretty sure. So I'm trying to use them and really not like sequester them and make them, herd them in, but incorporate them in everything that I do. And so this is a great planner pen for that because it's handy. In that I have the black cartridge that came with an inexpensive little pen I bought to experiment with some inks with. And then what I don't have here, I ran out of room, is my Noodler's Charlie pen. It is just a very basic pen, but a nice little writer. It was designed, from what I understand, not going into all the history, but good for cartoonists. My son Drew loves to draw, and he has kind of a cartoony style. This is inked with Heart of Darkness, which is what it came with. And I had a renewed appreciation for this pen and ink and even the variations in the cap color when I watched a video by, don't know her name, but Kitchen Counter Crafts, I think, something like that. She talked about the history of this pen and just some features of it that made me think, okay, I need to revisit this. It has Noodler's ink company there, and it has the name of the pen, Charlie, there. And Drew has liked it. He's liked using it, working on using it up. But I like to just take notes with this too, jotting things down. It's a nice little pen for that. So there's my currently inked. There's my thoughts. If you asked me to pick a favorite, I would have a hard time doing that. I can't pick a favorite. I can pick probably, of these combinations, 4 favorites. I am loving my Pilot pens, the softer feel of that gold nib, the consistent flow, super nice. This guy's persnickety, but the flow and the combination of that Tex-Mex ink, so nice. And this is so delightful too. So okay, that's my favorite with an S on it. My favorites. That's pretty good. I mean, I have 12 things here. I've narrowed it down to 4. I'd love to know what you're enjoying in your currently inked, what pen and ink combinations are your favorites, or you're finding to be just that pen that you love to reach for because you just can't get enough of it. We'll see you again soon. Take care.